Good morning, grade 6. Now it's time for lesson 5 and 6, 7 and 8 in Explorers for a Day. Let's start with some new words. Okay, the first word here is historian. Historian is that one who writes or study history. He is a historian, he studies and writes about fairs. Number 2. Here we have the word clue. Clue, it means something that helps you to solve a problem. The book gives the reader plenty of clues to solve the mystery. And number 3, it's a hurricane and it's a strong tropical storm, as you can see. Strong tropical storm. Hurricane. And the last one here is voyage. It's a kind of trips, but in the sea. He wrote about his many voyage into South Seas. Now it's time to find about the Atocha. Let's read or let's listen to the text, famous shipwrecks, and know about the most famous shipwrecks happened in the world.
Listening 57. Listen and read.
Famous shipwrecks. Sailing can be dangerous, and many ships and boats have sunk. And there are many ships lying at the bottom of the sea in oceans all over the world. Studying shipwrecks is important to historians because shipwrecks contain clues about what life was like at the time that they sank. The Atocha was a Spanish ship that sank in a terrible hurricane in 1622. It was carrying gold, silver, and jewels. People were sent to get the treasure because it was very valuable. However, the ship was lying more than 16 meters under the sea. At the time, it was very difficult to dive down so far. Then, in the same year, there was another hurricane, and the shipwreck was destroyed, and the treasure was lost. The treasure lay lost beneath the sea for over 360 years. In 1969, a man called Mel Fisher started to search for the treasure. This time, divers had proper equipment. After 16 years, he found the parts of the wreck and most of the treasure. He put the treasure in a museum in Florida, where you can see it now. The Titanic.
Okay, now let's comment about the Atocha. Okay, it's a Spanish ship that sank in a terrible hurricane. It was carrying gold, silver, so it was a treasure. People were sent to get the treasure because it was very valuable. Valuable means something like expensive. However, the ship was lying more than 60 meters under the sea. At that time, it was very difficult to dive down so far. Then in the same time, there was another hurricane, and the shipwreck, it means the ship after it was destroyed, and the treasure was lost. The treasure lay lost beneath the sea. Beneath means under the sea for over 360 years. In 1969, a man called Mel Fisher started to search for, it means to try to find the treasure. This time, divers had proper equipment. Proper means correct or suitable or just equipment. After 16 years, he found the parts of the wreck and most of the treasure. He put the treasure in a museum in Florida where you can see it now. Now let's listen to the most famous shipwreck all over the world, and it's the Titanic. And by the way, Titanic means very big. Let's listen.
Was a passenger ship built in 1911. It was called the Unsinkable Ship because of its amazing design. No one believed it could sink. On the 10th of April 1912, Titanic left England for New York City on its first voyage. 4 days later, the ship hit an iceberg in the Atlantic Ocean. The ship sank, and over 1,000 people drowned. For a long time, underwater explorers searched for the missing wreck. In 1985, they discovered it 4 kilometers beneath the surface. The ship was broken and it was impossible to move. But they were able to examine the ship and bring back thousands of items such as clothes and letters and other personal things. These things have helped historians understand more about the people who sailed on Titanic.
Now, yeah, Titanic is a passenger ship built in 1911. It was called the unsinkable ship. They thought that it will never sink, but it wasn't true. And its first voyage means a trip in the sea, started 4 days after 19th April 1912, 10th April 1912. And the ship hit an iceberg. And talking about the iceberg, it's a large floating mass of ice which has broken off from a glacier. A large floating mass of ice. And over 1,000 people drowned. Here we have drowned for people and sank for ship. Drowned for people, sank for ship. For a long time, underwater explorers searched for the missing wreck. It's the rest of the ship after it's destroyed. They discovered it 4 kilometers beneath, under the surface. The ship was broken. It was impossible to move, but they were able to examine the ship, to check the ship, and bring back thousands of items such as clothes, letters, other personal things. These things have helped historians, those people who write about history, understand more about the people who sailed on the Titanic. Now, let's see the words here. Verb, it means try to find. Try to find. Yeah, sure. It's search for. Noun, a long journey by the ship. It's a voyage. Yeah, voyage. Noun, a storm with a strong wind. This is a hurricane. Verb, to die after being underwater for too long. This is, yeah, sure, drowned. Noun, a piece of information that helps you find an answer or an explanation. This is a, yeah, sure, it's a clue, as you see here. Yeah, the word clue is here, clue. Okay, let's complete number 7. What is this? Yeah, it's a wreck. As we say, it's a shipwreck or wreck. Number 8, this is the iceberg. Now let's go to our sheet and answer some questions. Number 1, the Attica was a Spanish ship that sank in a terrible hurricane. Number 2, Mel Fisher started to search for the treasure. Try to find, search for. Over 1,000 people spaced in the shipwreck, drowned. Number 4, Titanic left England for New York City. It's first voyage. Titanic hit an iceberg that caused it to sink. Archaeologists have made some new discoveries at the Karnak Temple. Divers have found a shipwreck in the sea near Turkey. They gave important clues about the past. Outside the main space to the temple, they found the walls, the main entrance. Many explorers have space for have plus BP have searched. Number 10, Heracleon, the ancient Egyptian city, space under the sea. It's sank because it's a city. Sank for cities or for things. We also use sank. 7 and 8, I love plus verb plus ing, so I love seeing new places. I like sweets such as chocolate cake. She enjoys verb plus ing, enjoys doing. They learn lots of things about the past. For instance, it means for example. He would like to learn a new language, for example, German and French. I think it would be. You have to keep it as it is. Van Gogh was a famous space who painted picture, as he painted pictures, so he is an artist. Lots of buildings were destroyed when the town was hit by a hurricane. And number 9, we use a space to see things which are far away, so we use binoculars. Binoculars is a gadget which helps you to see things which are far away. They took the ship as a space, lasted for 5 years or 5 days. This is a voyage, a trip in the sea, voyage. Okay, let's answer exercise rewrite. We have been living in Zagazig since 2013. Use 4, so it will be for, I think, 8 years. Or, yeah, 8 years. She was watching TV, the light went out, so you'll use while she was watching TV, comma, the light went out. Hisham went to the bed at 3 o'clock. He's still sleeping, so been, present perfect continuous. Hisham has been sleeping since 3 o'clock. Number 4, he's fixing the shelf. Start with the shelf. The shelf is being fixed. Present continuous passive. I don't have enough money to buy a new mobile phone, so if I had, okay, I will write this sentence because it's important. If I had enough money, I will use it in the second conditional of if. I would buy a new mobile phone. A new mobile phone. Completed. Okay, and the last question, make a question here. My mother is cooking the lunch at the moment. What is your mother doing at the moment? This dress costs £250, so how much does this dress cost? This book is about history. What is this book about? Thank you for listening. Meet you next time. Bye.